Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a breath of fresh footy. I'm Matthew, and I'm on a rant today. How could we do such a pathetic performance against Leicester City? Arsenal losing 1-0 at the Emirates, the first time in 47 years. I'm so appalled that I'm not even going to use any Arsenal paraphernalia. I'd rather use the Manchester City stuff because I go for Melbourne City. I am absolutely disgusted with this performance. I cannot believe such an insipid performance was able to happen with our key signings, and it just shows me the backbone of this team. There is absolutely none. And that goal, Jamie Vardy, how could you leave him so open in the defence? Absolutely disgraceful play by Mustafi. I really blame him for that. That poor defence just shows us when David Luiz isn't in the team, we are a bunch of bottle jobs. It is absolutely, utterly pathetic. And if we think that we're going to win anything this year, given that sort of performance, we need to think again. Arteta should be ashamed of that performance. Absolutely piss poor. I cannot believe it. All the teams losing and drawing this week, we had a huge chance to be able to secure our spot in the top four. And now, because we've lost 2 games in a row, we're in 10th position, where we deserve to be. We are not acting like a top 4 club. That sort of soccer, you start off in the first 25 minutes that strongly, you finish the half, you have Bellerin's chance, and you go and give away a goal like that. Absolutely insipid performance there. And City wasn't much better either in their game. However, at least they were able to score and get a point out of that game. Absolutely piss poor by the Arsenal. All of the fans are really, really peeved off by it, and I'm particularly upset about this result, considering that Everton lost to Southampton 2-0, Wolves drew 1-1, and Aston Villa lost 3-0 to Leeds. I mean, I can't see us winning a game. I'm so worried for the next fixtures with Leeds and Man United coming up for the Arsenal. I mean, it's just not looking fantastic at all. And unless we decide to actually go out and be much more aggressive with our front three, it's just a waste having them there. And Lacazette, that was an absolutely piss poor attempt at goal. I cannot believe it. I am so ropeable at the moment. Absolutely ropeable. I just see that this season is going to pan out perfectly for City and Liverpool again, because everybody's now starting to take points off each other. Every team now has basically lost a game. Arsenal have lost 3. I mean, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? You know, it's just so poor. I cannot stress enough how important depth of squad is during this season. And what I'm seeing at the moment is that I actually thought Arsenal had a reasonable depth of squad. And we looked like a bunch of school kids when Luis was off the field. I never thought I would say that, but Mustafi has to go. He has to go. He's absolutely pathetic. That goal, you cannot leave Jamie Vardy to header the ball like that. I cannot stress enough how important these moments are. You have 60% possession and you let in a goal like that. 60% possession against Leicester. You beat Leicester at home in the cup, and you come to the Emirates and you play like that. Shameful, shameful, shameful. What are we going to do? How are we going to fix our flaws? And people think City's in a bad spot. City's just warming up. Look at how many injuries they have. They're actually going to have a very decent season, I think. I think they're going to do really well. I think they're going to win the Premiership. Everything is close. But you cannot afford to lose 3 points. Even if we had only gained 1 point and it was a 0-0 draw, I would have taken that and been a bit more gracious with that, because it's a point. Every point counts. You see, 1 point's difference drops you from 5th spot to 10th, even though it's early in the season. Absolutely piss poor. Where's Lacazette? What's he doing? What's Aubameyang doing at the moment? These players need to step up to the plate. I just don't see how we can play so defensively against a team and not create opportunities. I get it. The fixture's hard. Even Pep said it's hard for his team, and his team is probably the wealthiest team in world football at the moment. But that doesn't mean that you can go about and lose these games when we've beaten these teams at their home. Why aren't we set up properly to play at home for home matches? Why aren't we doing what we're supposed to do, win these games? We hadn't lost a game at home in 11 games. And then we decide this is the time to play like school kids, throwing prams out of the bloody sandbox. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous football. Awful football. And I thought United was a joke. After this performance, Arsenal's the biggest laughing stock in world football. Absolutely pathetic. I don't want to support them at the moment because they're doing such a poor job. I will, but I'm not going to feature any of their Arsenal memorabilia at this stage, given that performance. Even City showed a bit more fight. I can't believe it. Absolute joke of a team at the moment. Absolute joke. And people are going, oh, Unai Emery, he was the worst. Unai had nothing to work with. If that's our defence when David Luiz is out, injured at halftime, and your best defender is to bring on Mustafi, you're in a lot of trouble. He's piss poor. Absolutely pathetic. He needs to go as soon as possible. I mean, even Diaz for Manchester City didn't have a great game. Heck, even Chelsea and United's game, that was the most boring 0-0 draw. But at least with them, they both kept a clean sheet, and they arguably have the worst defences in the EPL for any of the top 6 teams. They're no good. And yet we concede a goal. Mustafi has to go. And until we get rid of these tripe players in our club who are getting paid way too much money to do what they're doing, you're going to see these insipid results. How could you let Vardy be that open? I know I sound like a tape recorder, but it's just so blatantly obvious. You play well, you get a little bit tired. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely piss poor. I am so ropeable at the moment. I woke up this morning in the best mood seeing in our rugby league, seeing the Melbourne Storm win a premiership. And I'm like, oh, this would be great if Arsenal is able to do something. Even City played a terrible game. They found a way to draw. It's like, hopefully Arsenal can beat Leicester. I have confidence because we've beaten them in the Carabao Cup at their home with a second string squad, even though they had a lot of injuries and they had a lot of people out. It's like, sure. Vardy comes on. He's a great player. But nobody should be giving any sort of forward that sort of space. Mustafi, hang your head in absolute shame. Hang your head in shame. You have nobody else to blame but you. But you. Letting down the Arsenal every year since you've been here, you're a liability to the club. You should not even be a soccer player, and yet you're getting so much in your wages. It's absolutely criminal. If I did that as an artist and I performed like that constantly, within 2 concerts, I wouldn't have a gig. Yet you've been doing this for 5 years and you earn over 100,000 a week. Absolutely piss poor. Leave this club immediately. Send in your papers. You do not deserve to play for a club like Arsenal. My player of the round, I have to say, who had the biggest influence was Phil Foden. What he did when he came on in that game was just absolutely phenomenal. Changed that whole aspect of that West Ham game. Absolutely brilliant. I thought West Ham played really well against City. City didn't come out in the first half with any energy. And then as soon as Foden came on, everything changed. What a beauty on his left foot. Right in the corner, along the ground. Beautiful goal. Player of the round for me. But that's the only joy I got this week watching anything, because I'm glad that Melbourne City exists. I have Manchester City to thank for that. And I'll always respect what they do because we have a team in Melbourne that has actually survived. They were in a lot of trouble. And I will always now have a soft spot for City. But come on. What are you doing, Arsenal? Show some balls. Do something with your footy. It's just utterly unacceptable. Utterly unacceptable. And Everton fans might be a little bit peeved that they lost to Southampton. The Southampton have been in some good form. But nothing excuses what I saw this morning. Absolutely nothing. And if they don't come back in the Europa League, and if they don't give United a chance and they lose another game, our club is absolutely finished as being a serious contender for the EPL. Absolutely finished. We want to see them competitive, and they're not in the league. I don't care how defensively good we are. Obviously, the problem is we don't have good enough defenders to be able to cope with the threat of somebody like Vardy, which we do. But when one of them gets injured, there's no depth. And I thought we had depth. How mistaken was I? Absolutely piss poor. We go to the Europa League. Hopefully we'll have a bit of a victory there. I don't expect anything. I'm not expecting anything this season like last season with Arsenal. Maybe that's the way I need to be able to think about them. Just expect nothing. Looking forward to seeing City play in the Champions League. That'll be great. I am just so peeved. Just so peeved. What's the point? What's the point of signing these great players if you're not going to utilise them properly? Look, Partey played reasonably well. Where was the creativity in the team? Anyway, might as well finish the video here because I'll just get even more peeved. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic, Arsenal. Hang your heads in shame. But we go again. I'm Matty. This is a breath of fresh footy and my rant. Pathetic Arsenal. Grinding Man City. We will see what happens. Foden, for me, player of the round. Great game. And we shall see you very soon. I'm Matthew. Remember to subscribe to A Breath of Fresh Footy. Thumbs up for this video. Subscribe on YouTube. Like our page on Facebook. And we hope to see you soon.